Hi, it's Fletcher Fox today. So today I'm going to talk about what it was like getting institutionalized. So in 8th grade, my father and his girlfriend started talking about sending me to a therapeutic boarding school after I was forced to live with them for 2 years and I wasn't allowed to go anywhere else. I had told the police about the abuse that my father had done to me, and there were police investigations going on against my father for criminal charges for his physical abuse toward me. So he wanted to send me away to Utah to keep me away as a witness. I got excited about the idea of going to a therapeutic boarding school at the time. I didn't know what they were like 100%. I met with my educational consultant, Linda Heller, and she talked to me about it. And then in November 2012, I finally went to Logan River Academy in Utah after my father and his girlfriend and my half-sister and I went to visit my brother in Los Angeles for Parents' Weekend. And I think the only reason why he let them come visit him, despite him not getting along with them, was so he could see me. But anyway, when I got to Logan River Academy after that day in Utah, first I was sent over to the Devo room to fill out a whole questionnaire about myself, and this Devo room was an isolation room for students that had behavioral problems, and they weren't allowed to move or talk for periods of time. If they ran away, they could be in that room for a month. Or if they had a suicide or assault precaution, they could be in that room for a while too, but running away was the longest. Or if you had minor behavioral problems, you could be in that room for a few hours on end. It all just depended. And even worse, they had an observation room where you couldn't serve off points in Devo to get out of there sooner. Oh, and also in Devo, they made us wear sweat clothes. And I was forced to wear sweat clothes the first day I had to take my questionnaire there. Then I was entered into my dorm. I had 3 other dorm mates when I first got there. And everything seemed fine at first, but then after about a month, 2 of my dorm mates, and one was added on, started bullying me. Yeah. And I was so sad. And I realized, and I was able to make they had different level systems. And level 1, level 2, level 3, you could only talk to your parents once a week on a Skype call. And it just gradually built up. And then once you got to level 4, level 5, level 6, you could have one Skype call and one personal phone call each week. It was a privilege. It was really unfair. So I realized after I made level 3, I could make level 4 because they had a point system. And part of that point system failure was not having good eye contact or not having good social skills, which I struggled with, possibly because of my autism, and also attention deficit disorder. And I wasn't able to make level 4 for months. And between being bullied by my roommates and not being able to make level 4 to have more phone calls with my mother and not being able to have more privileges in general, I became devastated and furious. I hated it there so much, I wanted to commit suicide. I once made a suicide attempt, and I was forced to go to Devo for a night, and then my therapist brought me out the next morning, and I had a Skype meeting with my educational consultant, and I think she unhonestly told me that or I don't know if it was unhonest, but she was not a good person, but she told me that if I'm so miserable there, I probably can't go home because I'd have to go back to Valley Forge Middle School, which wasn't the right place for me at the time. Which I don't think was true. I think if I had lived with my mother, I would have done fine at Valley Forge Middle School again. Or done fine any public school then. what else? So yeah, I was still miserable. I was still crying. My mother and my brother and my grandmother came to visit me, and I still realized I could make level 4, and I was sitting one night at the school before my mother and my brother were supposed to leave. I think they were supposed to leave earlier, but they stayed with me as I started crying about how they were punishing me for having disabilities. And that was so traumatic. We also met with my therapist. Me and my brother and my mother met with my therapist to talk about the abuse that my father had done toward us, physical abuse. And I remember the day afterwards, I was on the Skype call with my father's, not liking him, and my therapist told me to talk about the physical abuse that we told him about. And then my therapist started telling my father about the physical abuse they had done to us. And I don't know if I got in trouble for it so much, but I think my brother did. And that was really corrupted. Eventually, I did make level 4, and I was able to have one personal phone call as well as one Skype call that week. My mother actually had them give me this thing called a zeolite supplement, for which they only put me on for a week, and then they took me off of that, which I can explain in another video, which is supposed to detox heavy metals from the brain, which could possibly cause autism, even though I'm not sure how strong of a believer I am that I have autism or not, but I definitely have that diagnosis. And that's what it was causing for me at Logan River Academy at the time. Thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel to try to save the lives of other court-ordered abused children.